Right. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, so I'll make a start. Can I welcome you all to our December meeting? Just a reminder for everyone present that the proceedings of the meeting are recorded and are distributed on YouTube. So just so everyone is aware that they are being recorded. If we start off the meeting, item 1 on our agenda is apologies for absence. Do we?
I had apologies from Melina Kingscote and from Jonathan Rees. They're the two I had apologies from. Everybody else.
I think both of them for various reasons were health issues, weren't they? So
yes, I think in the case of Melina, I think it looks like she's probably going to be away for a fairly long term, certainly for several months. I think, for the same reason. I've actually written a note to her this afternoon saying the best thing is for us not to continue to offer apologies at every meeting, but she's notified us of a sort of a slightly longer term absence, which we will then review again if it doesn't change in April. So we'll see what happens in April and see how things change then for her. And it's on the basis of I've described critical illness, so I don't know what that's.
okay.
And the other one, Jonathan, just a temporary blip.
Okay, our members are happy to accept those apologies and Melina's notifications. So thank you all very much. Carried. Any declarations of interest? If I could do my normal related to the council shop dispensation, and if there's anything that crops up for the parish hall as a trustee, come around the table.
Shop and shop.
Yeah. Colin. Cool. Yeah. Sure. Thank you very much. Excellent. The next item is approving the minutes of November the 6th. Are there any amendments to those that members have got? If not, then I have a proposal that I sign them as a true and accurate record. Thank you very much. Or better just say all those in favour, please show. Yes. Excellent.
Thank you.
Planning matters are next, and we have none. So
Everything on the issue.
that brings us to the clerk's report, our correspondence matters and surgery report.
Well, on the clerk's thing, there's a few issues on the clerk's thing. First of all, I've done quite a lot of, apart from all the shop stuff, I've been doing quite a lot of website updating this month. I noticed when I went into it at the end of the last meeting how out of date some of it was, not just on the council pages, actually, but on the general organisations. In fact, I took 3 off there completely who no longer exist as 3 local organisations. I removed completely. I also asked and requested David Sturgis if he could do an updated piece for the shop, which he's done, and that's now on the website. And I'm sure he'll update it again as things go forward. But I think it's something which we just need to be aware of, that if you've got a website, nice if it is up to date. And particularly if there's not organisations on there that don't exist any longer. That's the thing that shocked me. And names of contacts were not correct in a lot of cases. So there's a bit more work to do there, but I think we've got it much more up to date than it was. And also on the council pages, I need a picture from David and Jonathan to complete the gallery, which would be nice. Just over head and shoulders, that's all. And it's a short profile. The other thing I've also done is I've reissued all the council policies now, and they're all numbered now on the website, from 1 to I think it was 13 at the moment, because some of those we had updated previously and they haven't been updated onto the website. So now all the policies that exist on the website now are completely up to date, apart from the ones that we do subsequently. So the local clerks forum is taking place here tomorrow. It's about 7 of us clerks from the local area meet together, have a good whinge about things, and decide what we find the big issues that we can all share, and between us say between us, we represent about 13 councils, although there's only about six or seven of us, because some of them have got 3 or 4 councils. So I'm a lazy one, I've only got one. So we're meeting tomorrow, so that's good. Policy update I've done, and I also sent out the meeting dates, the surgery dates, and green rota. If there's anything on those, particularly on the rotas, that you don't feel comfortable with, or you want to change, or whatever, just let me know on that. But they're the dates for 2025. Okay, so I've tried to even it out a little bit, but you know, if it's not suitable for that particular month, we can swap it around with somebody else. I think that is probably as far as we need to go at this stage. Yeah, that's okay.
And the surgery update.
Surgery update. Funny enough, when you left, Bob, yesterday, we had somebody came in about the post box. Lady came in saying, "Were we going to get a new post box?" And I said, "Yes, we were." It wasn't perhaps in the position we would have ideally liked it, but it is a post box, and it will be on the same site as the shop and the telephone kiosk, so it'll be on that in that area. So she went away happy because she thought she was going to have to walk from that end to the other end, sort of thing, with the other post box. And then we had 1 or 2 other matters on usual flood issues, drainage issues in Burton Row, and speeding updates.
Yeah, Mark.
The first meeting, is that going to be on the 1st, or is that going to be changed?
No,
that's the first Wednesday.
The 8th. It'll be on the 8th of January.
Be on the 8th. Thank you.
I didn't think New Year's Day was a good day for the parish. You might make a better job of it now, for a few beers.
Okay. Next item is the working groups and the project tracker. Do you want to do anything on the project tracker?
Yeah, project trackers are just pre-circulated, and most of the items are the key ones are on the footpaths area, really, to be honest. And some of the others will come up later on the shop side of things and build and so on. So, yes, most of this list of footpaths really is amazing.
Okay. Footpaths take any?
Only the style by Windy Ridge that goes out of their field that goes around there. It's quite bad. But I think that's.
We have. We've actually been in touch with Chris East, so we've got a replacement gate coming for that location, which is now ordered. There's a replacement gate coming for behind the church where you go, before you go up the steep bit, there's a diagonal piece that goes across the field, and that stile has collapsed, so that's going to be replaced as well. And we've also got ordered a Bristol gate for over Hammond Road, the path that heads off there to Chris Easter's.
15. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
You spotted my brain working.
Okay.
15.
Colin.
Did you manage to have a word with Mr. and Mrs. Alsop about the fence across the triangle bit? Because it just so happens that the whole area has been posted ready for a fence to be put up, which is interesting.
Okay.
And I think it'll make things a lot
Okay.
easier.
Right.
So,
Excellent.
I was just going to say about those gates that we said. Who's going to install them? Are we doing that or?
We will need to get a contractor to do that,
Yeah.
which we've done previously. So
Yeah.
normally there's a sort of set cost that we can do that within, so we can get those underway. Talking of contractors, Steve Pym, you remember at the last meeting we agreed that if the quotation came in under £700, we could go ahead and just do it. We actually finally got the quotation today. The quotation that we had for doing it in softwood for both sections, the piece at the top, that's posts and rail, and the piece that's running up the line of Linham's field. so behind the church, where all that's falling down, was £690 plus VAT. So we could have gone ahead and said, do it. We've delayed it to tonight because you remember we also said we were going to get a quote for hardwood as opposed to softwood. The hardwood quote is £730 plus VAT, so it's £40 more for going in hardwood rather than soft. We thought it would make sense to do that, but we didn't have the authority to do that without coming back to you tonight. So if you're happy, we can press the button and get on with doing that replacement fence that we discussed with the handrail. And his plan would be, should we give him the job, to get it done this side of Christmas so that it will be in place before people are going up and down the knoll over the Christmas period. But wanted to get your feel as to how we go.
Yeah.
David?
Well, I propose that we do it in hardwood because it will definitely last longer.
Okay.
So lovely.
All right. Everyone happy that we do that?
Yeah, good.
That's
And
nice.
I will see Stephen, I'm sure he does that.
Excellent.
There's a couple of other just ongoing things.
Yeah.
There was the Knoll footpath, which was very overgrown apparently, and we were going to speak to, maybe contact landowners. Not quite sure who was going to do that actually, but somebody was, I think. It's just overgrown.
Yeah, I was
Just
going to go
overgrown.
and do it.
So that's sort of an ongoing matter,
Yeah,
really, isn't it?
it will get done.
The overgrown hedge at 27 Brent Street, that should now be dealt with.
Yeah,
Urge.
no.
The new people have taken over there now, and they've assured us that they will deal with it.
Yes.
There are lights on in
Okay.
this afternoon, so it looks like someone's moving in, but whether or not they've got the message about it, we don't know, do we? Yeah.
Greensway Taylor did say to me they would pass it on to the new owners, and the new owners were very keen to get on
Yeah,
and do
so we'll
stuff.
see if,
Okay.
yeah.
So hopefully that will be done sooner rather than later. I think that's probably it on the footpaths actually. The key holders for the Hill Lane car park gate.
I think we're going to review it in the
Yeah,
new
review
year.
that one, okay. And yeah, okay, well, the litter picking thing is on the agenda anyway, isn't it?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Nothing else on footpaths. Mark, anything on highways?
The only thing is that the pothole outside the Red Cow seems to have been repaired now. That's something that I've been on about for a long time, and they've now done that. So apart from that, nothing else.
Okay.
The only slightly frustrating thing is that there are a couple of potholes there, and they've done the worst one, but they didn't bother doing the other one. So it was reported, both, and the trench. So they came out, and the only thing they indicated was the one pothole which they have now filled.
Criteria.
It wasn't deep enough, though, I guess. Okay. Anything else on highways? No. Okay. Village Green.
Right. The John Matthews was the person on the rota for the Village Green for November.
Right.
I sent him a template on the 1st of November, that's right at the beginning of the month. I've heard nothing. Whether he's done a report, whether he's intended to do a report, whether he's going to send it back to me blank, I have no idea. But I've heard nothing.
So who's December?
December Road is Jonathan, and he's got the template, and he's taken December under his wing.
Okay.
So he knows what he's doing on that.
Okay. Has anyone else got anything to report on the Green? No. Okay. Staffing and audit group, I don't believe have met. Buildings working group, I don't know whether you want to take that under the shop bit later. Okay. And then we've got policy introduction and updates.
The three policies there. Now these three policies are almost the final tranche of our updating. The two of them, freedom of information policy and diversity and equality, are legal and statutory documents that we have to have as parish council. Now they haven't been changed since we last adopted them, which was about 3 or 4 years ago. So the only reason for re-adopting was to make sure we're up to date. But there are no changes on any of them. So it's a question really of just re-adopting, because there's nothing really to discuss, because they're as is. The third one, scheme of delegation, something we should be adopting every year, And what the scheme of delegation is a document that allows the clerk, the council, to give authority to the clerk to make decisions that could affect the smooth running of the council between meetings. So if something crops up that is of an important nature, which cannot wait for a meeting, the clerk, under these powers, has the power to make that decision and bring it to the next meeting and have a retrospective decision. And we adopted it a year ago, about a year since, and we're just again re-adopting it as a policy.
So members had these circulated before the meeting. Was there any questions or comments that members had on them, or are you happy that we re-adopt as before?
Yeah.
Proposer?
Propose, we re-adopt.
Okay. All those in favour, please show.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yours.
Okay, just a couple of things to update. So Somerset are, as you know, has been bringing together of the 4 councils. There are various systems that all the councils, the districts had for things like receiving payments for green waste, for licensing, all those sort of things. They were all different systems. They've now theoretically been brought together in one singing or dancing system, which should have gone live today. So we'll see whether it actually works. But at previous meetings, I had to advise people for about the last week you couldn't make payments because the system was being updated, but it should have gone live today. Just a couple of stats that were given to us with Storm Bert that hit. There were 200 trees that were downed around the highways throughout Somerset, which had to be dealt with, and 644 incidents on the road, which Kia was sent out to deal with over that couple of days. So they've been fairly busy. Couple of things also just to mention. Earlier in the year I mentioned about the council tax reduction scheme was being looked at, so people can apply for discounts on their council tax. The initial first look at it was a possible saving of up to £12 million by cutting back on a lot of the allowances that people were potentially able to get. That's actually been reduced to 4 million because some of them were felt to be too draconian on those who needed support. So basically the 100% discount that is offered to those on the lowest incomes still remains, but the discount bands above that have been reduced. There is still keeping the exempting certain incomes, so if people have got disability benefits or carers allowance or child benefit, that's not counted in their income when they're working out whether they get council tax relief. They have limited the discount to band D, so if you're in a band G house, currently you were getting, say, a 25% reduction on that. You will now only get it on what the band D would have been. So in other words, those people in bigger houses will pay more, those in smaller houses will be the same as they were before. And the other change they've made is that when you initially could apply for this in the past, you could apply for a retrospective 1 year. That's been reduced to 1 month. So going forward it would be the same, but you can't look backwards. And that in itself, if it all works as they think it will save about just under 4 million. Final thing was just a flag up, just to remind people about the Slinky bus system that is out there. It's still operational throughout sort of they operate within what were the district areas. So the Slinky bus here, you can travel to Cheddar, you can travel to Bridgewater. You have to book it, and it's responsive, and it doesn't have a set route. It goes to where people are calling it for. They have made one change which makes it more usable, which was in the previous rules. If you had a car, you couldn't use the Slinky bus. They've now said, we don't mind whether you have a car or not. If you want to use the bus and get you out of the car, then that's a positive anyway, so you can now use it if you've got a vehicle. And the final thing was just to say they're looking at drawing a new map for how Somerset is represented. So as you'll remember, we used to have 200 or so district councillors and about 50 county councillors. With the merger, that was reduced to 110 councillors. The Boundary Commission have now decided that will be further reduced to 96, and so they're now starting to consult on where the lines will be drawn on the map as to which areas people are covered by. So there will be consultation has now started on that and will run through until, well, their recommendation will be published in December 2025. But the consultation at the moment will be up until the early part of 2025 for people to put their comments in. So, for example, at the moment they look like they're saying they're going to start with the towns and then go outwards, and we'll see how that affects areas, because it might mean that some of the rural areas get sucked into more urban areas. So it's something we just need to watch. But that's for the councillors for Somerset. It doesn't affect the operation of the parishes themselves. I think that's about it for Somerset at the moment, other than the finances are still struggling. We will know within the next 3 weeks exactly how many compulsory redundancies there are going to be, but that process is out in consultation at the moment, and members of staff will be finding that out within the next couple of weeks. So not a great time of year to be doing it.
Just before Christmas.
Exactly. Yep. If there's nothing else on Somerset, that takes us to the financial report. And Owen.
Right, so on the statutory payments, no changes there. Everything is as per agreed back in March of this year. Statutory payments, contractors, staffing costs, etc., all as is. There's been no change at all. There is one change that I've just been notified of today, and that GB Sports put their prices up to £30 for inspection. It's 25 at the moment. That's from January. So they have increased their prices because of, well, obviously costs and so forth. But that doesn't take effect until January. Variable payment listing, we've got a couple of payments, not that many actually. SLCC, Society of Local Council Clerks, their annual subscription is £190, that's due this month. Somerset Council Dog Bin Service for the second half of the year, and including the Hill Lane rubbish bin as well, 1,174. And then we have the British Legion wreath, which we pay every year, £20, local Royal British Legion. So they're the three variable payments. So we just need council to agree to both of those, the statutory and the variable, if we could.
Second, Jane. If there's no questions, all those in favour, please show. Okay, that's done.
Fair enough. Now, on there was a standing order for the Clean's Toilet contract. You remember last month we agreed we would go with that £299 standing order per month for them, and they're happy with that. Unless the council wish at some point to increase to 3 times. Now, one of the things that's happened, Darryl rang me this morning to say that he did go in there and there were some issues which he raised, even though he wasn't contracted to do a third day. He did say that if the council wanted at any stage to increase to 3 days, he would do it at £14 a visit, which is less than the other 2 days that he's doing. So in other words, it's about 790 odd quid a year extra to do the third visit, if we decided we wanted to do that.
And when is he visiting? When are they coming in? What days?
Currently coming in Monday and Friday. So he came, he went in this morning just as a sort of goodwill gesture really, and found there were some issues. So he said, well, it was midweek, you know, that seemed a little bit problematic to him. So I said, well, I think we'll probably monitor it for the time being, see how it goes. If it continues to be a problem midweek, then we will obviously have to deal with it and increase the contract. But apart from that, his 299 is the monthly standing order, which he needs.
Could it just be for the winter months? That seems to be the dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's because I suppose it could be something worth considering. I suppose whether we do it seasonally.
So we could monitor and see how we go.
Yeah.
I think we should monitor it.
Yeah.
That's part of the the green, checking the green once a month? Can that person just go and check twice? They don't clean them, but
That's
just
always
check
used to
them.
be.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Rotor.
Yes.
So
Right, okay.
it's just a question of looking in, and if there's an issue, obviously let the client know.
And in Hill Lane as well as the other one, Hill Lane car park, just a quick check on that as well, as part of the general, rota experience. So, so you're happy, can I have sort of propose second before the,
And just to confirm, that's from the 2nd of December.
that's from the 22nd of December.
Oh, right.
That's when the contract actually, they're doing it now, but we're actually making the payment 22nd of each month.
Oh, okay, so we're making it on the
We're
22nd.
just making it 22nd, so it covers December. effectively.
Right,
But
understood.
the reason why, because they asked me where we wanted to set the standing order, and we do have, I try and spread the standing orders out over the month, so we get an even spread of standing orders. And we have quite a lot around about the 10th, 11th, so I've gone for a 22nd, so just spread them out a bit. Good for cash flow management, we call that, don't we?
Is there a proposal that we go ahead with the standing order of 299? Charlie?
Suppose we go ahead with the standing order returns.
And seconded?
Okay.
And all those in favour?
Okay.
That's carried.
The other thing is the telephone box refurbishment. That's in situ now. We need to repaint it. So Andy Selway has given us, because Andy Selway did it originally, and he's given us a quote of £400 to actually redo and refurbish the box. I've also got from, believe it or not, Shropshire Council, a caring for your kiosk document, which is, because they've got about 4 of these apparently in Shropshire in one of their councils, and it says how it should be maintained because it is a heritage item, and there are things that we should be looking at like during a period of a year just to make sure it's all working properly, like the doors are all properly and stuff like that. Whether we choose to do that is another matter, but the document I've got is the definitive.
Colin?
Can I ask if Andy is using the correct paint for the box, because there is a specific paint.
There is.
Yes.
I've located the actual paint. It's a specific manufacturer. I think they're called Briggs or something, and we can get the paint from them. They guarantee that it is the red telephone box standard. It's all technical stuff. I mean, you get into these debates with these things. It's incredible, really.
And from what I recollect, it was Andy who did the refurbishment last time, which did last
Yeah.
pretty well.
Do we know what the price was last time? To me, £400 seems an incredible amount.
It was less actually than last time.
Really?
No, 700 and something
Wow.
pound last time. Because he was working with a much blanker sheet last time. He hadn't done it at all. So it had been years before it had been done. But so he's reduced it this time because he thinks it probably will be more straightforward.
Is he doing inside as well? Does it need doing inside?
I think it's inside
If so,
both.
there's an awful lot of work, Charlie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fiddly, isn't
Round
it?
each page.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of work.
Jack?
What's going to happen with the telephone box?
So at the moment, it will be there as an information point, which is what it was before, because
Oh,
it's got the backing. When we had it refurbed last time, we put the backing board on. The problem was, because it was up at the old shop and nothing was happening, it never really got that well
right.
used. However, as part of the refurb, it has electric connected to it, so should we ever wish to put something electrical in there, and I won't mention the D word, but it might be the D word at some point, that would be a possibility.
I'm happy to do I've said to Bob, I'm happy to do the updating of the information on there as when I do the notice boards. So providing people send me the information that needs to go in there, I'm happy to post it.
That's what I was going to say. I think we discussed it before when it was going there, that we can have all sorts of information about what's on in Brent Knoll, maybe have a bit of a Brent Knoll Heritage Centre in the phone box.
And our meetings on there.
Because
The attendance might be quite small, though.
we're right in the summer.
Okay,
We've got a
so
patio.
can we have the proposal then that we go ahead with the quote as done by, as in your agenda of £400 plus materials. Colin, and all those in favour, please show. Carried. Okay.
Now the other financial is of course the important matter of setting the preset. last month we agreed a budget for the council, which is a provisional budget and could be changed if the council so wished at this stage. But if I get you to pass these around, these are the calculation sheets, which Jane, if you pass those around for me. There's a process for which we need to go through to set a precept, but the two main elements of it are cash reserves, whatever we decide is the most appropriate cash reserve, and the budget that we set. So they're the two main things that affect it. So when I look at this exercise, I mean, it's perhaps slightly more complex than some, but I take our opening cash reserves, start of the year, I take what I expect our income to be for the full year, I take what our expenditure should be for the full year, I break them down to fixed reserves and variable reserves, and operational stuff. I base it on recommended reserves to start off with, and then of course we set the budget, which in fact is F on your list there, which is the most important first stage, council budget, which we set at 65,759. I mean, obviously that'd be rounded up a little bit when we come to the actual budget, but that's the sort of actual figure. And the fixed reserves are those reserves that we can't use for any operational purposes. So they're anything that, for example, we have an election reserve, we have a clerk's pension fund, effectively called a gratuity, we have a SIL fund, we have various things that can only be allocated in a certain way. So it's the operational reserves that are the thing that we can change. And at the moment, I base those on 5 months of council expenditure. So if we take 5 months of our annual expenditure, the figure on that is 27,399. That's 5 months. So if we wanted to maintain 5 months expenditure based on the budget that we set last month, we would need a precept proposal of 67,969. It's about a 13% increase on the precept. Now we can change that. You can change it by going for a lower operational reserve, so now instead of 5 months, only doing 4 months. Or you can change the budget, move the budget down slightly. But on those figures, that is the actual proposal.
What's the difference between the forecasted reserves and recommended reserves? You said the 27,000 is 5 months, the recommended reserve is 6 months.
The recommended reserve is what SALC and NALC and other national organisations recommend councils should normally hold. Some do, some don't. Some hold far more than that. I know councils are holding 2 years, which is not deemed to be very good. So we've gone somewhere close to the recommended, and we're a little bit lower than we once were. We used to be, at one time a day, going back 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were 9 months. We used to keep 9 months. We have reduced that in recent years to only 6, but now there's a question mark over 5 and 6.
Part of the reason for that is our actual base budget is now significantly higher than it used to be. So the actual cash reserve at 5 months now is not far off what it was 9 months previously. But Colin.
Bob, I'm sorry to bang on about this again. After this, I'll be quiet. But in the general reserve, do you have the retention base there that is held against the 2.5%?
That's going to be in the fixed
reserve.
It's in the fixed reserve.
Yeah, it's 5,600 in the fixed reserve.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
And that we hold that column for 12 months.
Yeah,
effectively.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if any problems arise with the building, then we've got some sort of comeback.
Thank you.
But I'm happy to take any questions that you want to fire at me. I may not be able to answer them, but hopefully I can. I mean, this is your precept, not mine. So this is why you must have an input into it, because I'm not setting it, you're setting it.
So Colin.
the precept that we've shown here, how does that compare with the precept we discussed at the last meeting? Because I can't remember what it came out at.
The budget, we discussed the budget at the last
Yes.
meeting, which was 65,000.
Yes, and it flows through then to
Yes.
67.
67, if we want 5 months of reserves.
Yeah, well, I'd like to propose that this precept is accepted by the council as being a fair. We've gone through the budget precisely over the last couple of meetings, and I propose that 67,969.84, or you may want to round that up,
68,000.
is our precept for the forthcoming
Can
year.
I ask one question? When I was looking through the budget figures, I may have recalled this wrong, but the increase of the toilet block costs seemed wrong to me. So can we just verify it's the new toilet block cost?
Well, yes, I mean, the budget for next year is the new toilet block.
Yeah.
If you look at the previous year, the current year, there were some figures in the early part of the year for the old one.
Right, okay.
So, but when we're looking at the budget for next year,
Yeah.
it's actually to do with
It has the
one.
new, it has the, right, okay. I just happened to look at it and I thought, oh, that figure is low,
Yeah.
but it was probably, I was looking at last year's figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, just double check on that. In terms of then the £299 that we've just done for the standing
Yes.
order, that's
all included in there. Because one of the things that last year, you'll remember, we were responsible for electricity supply, which meant that some of the figures were quite high because electricity costs went through the roof. And although the shop refunded us back 80% of the costs, it still showed on our budget as we paid it. Okay, so if you look at our income side, yes, the shop energy credit was taken account of, but we still paid it up front. So, so the toilet block is difficult to balance, has been difficult to balance because, of course, for the last 6 months it hasn't been used at all. So all the costs that we had for this year were in the first part of the year.
It was just the cleaning cost, so more than
Yeah,
anything.
the cleaning cost is taken account of. I mean, obviously, if we needed to increase it to 3 visits, then of course we might need to do something about taking it from reserves or whatever. But, yeah.
Well, I second the proposal.
Okay. Any further comments? If not, we have a proposal and a second that we go ahead on the basis of these 67,969.84. All those in favour, please show.
Can I just ask, do you want to round it to 68,000?
Yeah. Psychologically, it should be 67,999.
But it's up to you entirely. I mean, you know, I think round figures look tidier, but that's just.
I propose 68,000.
You're happy with that, Colin? That's the proposer as well?
Yes, if
Yeah.
everybody.
All right, all those in favour of 68,000?
Okay. The other thing, one of the things that's happened over the last 4 weeks has been an enormous amount of jiggering around with budgets and so forth between the shop budget and the operational budget, because obviously we've got all the figures in now from Ashley Baker, and what I'm going to share with you now is I've got Ashley Baker's account in front of me here, and I've completed that so you can see exactly what position currently is on Ashley Baker's. What I intend to do for January is give you a final account of the whole shop building project, including all the fees that we incurred before this year as well. So you get a total picture. But that I couldn't do until we got all the figures in. So
Toilet block.
yes. If you look at it, this is purely Ashley Baker. There's nothing to do with Paul Martin or any of the other figures. It's purely Ashley. You can see there all the dates on the left-hand side under contract for all the payments that we made to Ashley Baker during the last 6 months or so. And Colin, you'll see there the 5657 pension, okay,
Yes.
which is added then to those payments, which makes a total of 226,000 for the contract. Plus, now on the right hand, to the right of that, you've got 712, which is the toilet hire that we had from our friends down the road. And then, of course, there were a couple of additional costs. There was the 2,940 for removal and transfer of the kiosk from its old location to the new location. And then there was a number of electrical items that were done to have an outside plug source for the Christmas tree and one or two other things there. Now, so that's the entire cost. Now on the right hand side, of course, you'll see the VAT, and as you can see, the big concern I had when we started this project was that the VAT would not be a problem, because of course that would have caused a problem had we not been able to claim it back. But we took advice at the beginning of the year from Steve Parkinson. We used his advice, and so far we've not had a problem at all. We've reclaimed 30,285 of the 45 already. So in fact we've already got back into our account 30,285, and then there's another 15 or so, if you look at the 45,000 at the bottom, there's another 15 or so still to claim, which I have now claimed in the last few days. So by the time we get to the end of this month, we should have claimed all the VAT back. We should have paid Ashley everything that he's owed on the contract, and we should start the new year with a fairly sort of clean bill of health, hopefully. The good news is that the budget and what's been the actual for the shop has come within £300. So it's quite remarkable, really, when you think of a £250,000 contract and we've come out within £300 of that, which is amazing. And you'll see that when I come to do the total figures next month, with all the figures including Paul Martin's costs and all of the other costs, you'll see exactly where all the money went and so on and so forth. And that will be an accurate report. There'll be nothing, no guesswork in that. It'll be absolutely 100% where we stand on the building project. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I propose a vote of thanks, a formal vote of thanks to Owen, how he's wonderfully controlled the finances on this project and got everything together. He's really done a great job for us, and we all should be very grateful to him. So thank you very much, Owen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I just hope that it's all now been very, very well worthwhile, and we can have a wonderful facility for the village. And I think that's really it on finance for this meeting. As I say, there'll be a more detailed one in January with total budgets.
Okay. That moves us on then to matters for consideration. Shop toilet bill update, and any further decisions to be taken, completion certificates and handover from the builder.
We've got now pretty well all the completion certificates. We're still waiting, I think, for one from Paul Martin from the building inspector, but the handover now is okay. The building inspector's happy now that the public can use the building, and the only proviso is that our insurance company is also happy for it to be used without that sort of final piece of paper in our possession. I've spoken to the insurance company today. They have said to me they can't see any reason there should be a problem. If the building inspector's happy, then as far as they're concerned, they are happy. The one thing the shop need to do is make sure they've got public liability, of course, as part of their lease contract as a shop. So if that's in place, which I'm sure it is, I have no doubt at all that it's in place, then there's no reason why the shop can't open on the 9th of December as planned at all. And we've got one final document here actually, which in a minute I asked for somebody to witness it. This is the deed of variation, which we had to change our covenant. We tweaked slightly. Somerset Council had to agree to the change of covenant, because originally it could only be used, that building only be used as a toilet block facility or toilet facility. It's been changed now to allow for a community project as well. And believe it or not, that document, as it stands, cost us £1,000.
It would be a very expensive toilet otherwise.
Very nice.
So we need to sign that, and then that concludes all the legal process. So everything that Charles Fleming's been doing, he's now satisfied that all the legal criteria has been met. The shop solicitors will then register the lease, and that will be the end of it as far as we're concerned. That's the end of the matter. It's a simple, straightforward transfer from us to the shop.
Can I propose, subject to you being satisfied with this and Charles Fleming, that you go ahead and sign it on our behalf?
I think we should do that now, if I may. I think it's a good idea to.
Is that, before we do it, is that seconded? All those in favour? Excellent.
Right, so basically it's got to be signed. Could we have an independent witness? Could Adi, would you like to come on?
Totally.
Cheers.
Noted, Adi.
You look as independent, why not?
Just mark an X.
Well, yes, it's my claim.
No, don't do that.
You can get your expenses.
So basically you just need a signature of witness there. We need to sign there.
Jeez.
You need to sign across there. And then in front of you, I'll sign here.
Put it with his You deliver this black spot.
And then you need to.
Oh, sign it.
You need to signature of witness plus your address. You want to sit down, you know, rather than make it look official.
Signature.
Is he putting Mickey Mouse?
Donald Duck. Oh, you did it then, well, shut up. Don't say that.
You've got to do 2 copies.
Hey?
You've got to do 2 copies. Do the shopper one copy as well.
There you go.
And down here as well.
Hey?
My signature as well.
You've got to work hard at the rest of it, but you're signing.
I
You've
just
got
put
to write
signature
it.
Oh no, when I said do it then.
You're just signing over your house, your car. Yeah.
Too late, that's been sold.
What he has.
Your house.
This house hasn't been sold yet, but the car's going.
Yeah. Hard time, is it?
Eh?
What a hard time.
No, not hard times, just good times. Good times. Don't need to do, I've got a camper van and I don't drive the van car anymore.
Right, and we need to ask, we need to do the whole thing again.
Okay.
This is costing money, you know.
We're not charging for the ink.
And these are actually going
Shop
back,
then.
these documents are going back to the solicitor tonight, believe it or not, so we can get it in before the 9th. So I'm taking it to Holly Steele later on.
No coffee while we're there.
Right, there you go. It'll let work.
Do you know what, last time I saw it, I was getting married.
Well, if you look at the carbon copy underneath.
Oh, it's Marion. Barbara Owen.
All done.
Never known him so quiet.
I'm coming back that way in a minute. Okay, happy?
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Right. I'll leave 10 minutes. Chocolates and envelopes.
Sorry about
Opening dates.
That's very just
So, I think, unless anything's changed, I think the plan at the moment is still the opening date on the Saturday the 14th for
It's
the actual
our
grand opening.
Grand opening, yes.
Okay, so that will, I mean, you'll publicise times and stuff.
Yeah, the 11 o'clock
Okay,
on Saturday.
okay, thank you.
Everybody welcome. Lovely to see you on Parish Council.
Excellent. Lease and final legal matters, I think we've just done.
Don't.
Any other matters that are not included above? Okay. Play area upgrades and quotes grants to consider and safety matters. So on the play area, you'll remember at the last meeting we agreed we were going to go ahead with doing the zip wires subject to we we were looking for the SIL money to come through and a grant from a local trust. SIL money has come through, and we were notified today that the local trust has granted us, I think it's £2,000.
£2,000, yeah.
So that puts us in a position now where we do have money to go ahead, so we will press the button as agreed. So we'll get on with it. Nuttall Trust application. Oh, sorry, safety matters.
On safety surface, that is, isn't it?
Well, no, I think also we had the thing from GB Leisure where they pointed out there was the metal.
Yeah.
But I had a look at the other day, and it looks like we asked them to do the repair rather than replace, and it looks like they've done it because the wire is
Okay.
not sticking out anymore. So,
Good. Okay.
so they've
Right.
that's been rectified.
Good. The
Nuttall.
Nuttall Trust, that grant application is now in. I think they're meeting up for their consideration meeting, I think about the third week in December, I think, third week in December.
Who are the Nuttall Trust?
So the Nuttall Trust is a local, it's again a local grant making trust. There was a couple called Mr. and Mrs. Nuttall who used to live in Brent Knoll. They left in their will a sum of money that is able to be applied for grants for those in Brent Knoll, East Brent, Lymphsham, and I think it was opened up to Mark as well. So there's 4 trustees, one from each village, and normally they put a note in the village magazine once a year asking if people to put in applications for grants, and then they allocate funding for that. Yeah, I think so. We've gone for, whatever we can say there, it's 2,500. It's 2,500, and that's to go towards the works that we're looking at doing with the footpaths and drainage on the way up the knoll. So that would contribute to sorting that out.
And I think the shop have also used their trust as well for their some of their section 14 matters as well, so that's good. It's all local.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. Meeting dates you mentioned earlier. Do we need to pass the resolution to accept that?
Yeah, I think we ought to just accept it if we could.
Okay.
Just a thought, could the rota be placed on our website in our particular section so that we can refer to it if we need to? It would be useful, because I have a habit of losing papers in particular, and then I can just go on and remind myself.
Normally if a month it's your turn.
Well,
Yeah.
certainly the meeting dates we've got on there, and you're suggesting bring the rota.
The rota on there, yeah, please.
Okay, everyone happy with that? And can I just have a vote for that we're happy to adopt the resolution for the meeting dates and rota? Okay, it's clearly carried unanimous. Next item is benches to the front of the new building, which is why I put around the little plans earlier. So we have, you'll remember, in front of the old toilet block, there used to be a bench, which is the Ronald Frost Memorial Bench, which basically sat in front of the toilets facing out onto the road. That was obviously moved as part of the building project, and we will be looking to re-site that back in front of the building. We need to decide where we want to site it, whether it goes back where it was or whether there's a better location. And we've also had the offer from residents in the village who would like to put in a memorial bench as well. So the plans that I circulated basically have got a couple of lines marked on them where we might put the benches, so you might have them on either side of the area looking in rather than at the front looking on the road. But it was really just wanted to get members' views as to, do we want to accept the offer of the memorial bench, and secondly, where do you want to put the benches in front? Amanda?
I was going to say, because we've already started trying to get the area reseeded, and we don't know how we're going to quite get through that, and with the grass coming up and whatever, I kind of think that we need to wait till the spring until the grass is established and at least mowable before we can decide where things are going to be sited, because we've obviously got the Christmas tree stand here. There are some issues with that growing back again, so we're going to have to do something about that. So that may or may not impede the growth of the grass if we've got whatever. I kind of think that we need to get the grass established and then revisit this in the spring, personally.
Colin?
two questions. Where's the Christmas tree stand, just a matter of interest?
So it's basically somewhere
Okay.
around about there.
The tree, where the
Yeah,
apple
where
tree
the
was.
apple- was.
I support Amanda. I think the ground is too muddy at the moment, too wet. Let it dry out, let the grass grow, and then decide.
Couldn't we not have grass and have it as a wildflower meadow-ish thing?
Would look
Does
at
it
that,
not?
yes.
Does it want?
Well, the problem is that if you've got to have it mowed or tidy, if you grow wildflowers, you end up with like a no-mow situation, and then you've got maybe 6 months of the year where it's going to be probably maybe this high, and it could start to look a bit scruffy.
Might make the benches not usable either.
Yes. And then you might get dogs messing in there that nobody would see, and
Well, let's take it into two stages then. So if our members happy that in terms of the siting, we decide that in the spring once we see what's happening with the actual grass. But in terms of, are we happy to accept the offer of the memorial bench?
Yes.
I think I was going to say, if we're going to wait, we need to, if one of our parish people wants to donate it, we need to give clear instruction that we will take it.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at your plan without going forward on the thing. The two at the side, more logical than sitting on a bench looking at the houses across the road.
Yeah.
So I think it would balance it.
Okay. So is everyone happy that we do go ahead and take the offer of the memorial bench?
but not put it, but not the actual time
Exactly.
of when it can go in, because
Yes.
we're not going to know that until
But we'll look at that in
the spring.
once we see how the grass is taken.
yeah.
Okay, so those in favour that we do write back and accept the offer, please show. Excellent. Everyone's happy that we relook at this in the spring as to exactly where we go.
Yeah.
So we can decide whether it's a meadow or a lawn.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
cases. Bird feeders.
Okay.
Excuse me, Bob, can I just add to that? James just made a really good point actually about while
James made a good point.
this is your time. About bulbs and wildflowers and things, and I think it might be a good idea if we incorporated in with the planting and stuff, drifts of bulbs and
Yes.
wildflowers in certain locations, not everywhere, just those. But, you know, I was just saying that we could probably do that.
Oh, thank you.
So, historically, we did have some bulbs
Yeah, there
in
were,
there
weren't they?
originally because we had them along the line of the path.
Yes.
I'm not too keen on that because I think you should keep a nice, clean, open front to the shop, grassed, nicely kept. It's a beautiful building. I don't necessarily like that.
Yeah, well, if members are happy, we relook at the location of benches and any additional stuff to grass we can discuss in the spring. But for the moment. Right, okay.
Can we just tarmac it and stop it?
Well, that's
We can get a couple of car parks.
Yeah.
what a
I was going to say we haven't decided where the zip line
down
is.
there.
Right, members. Telephone kiosk we've already dealt with, so Owen, this picking equipment, I think we're in the process of
Yeah, we're
purchasing.
just trying to source that actually, a little grab thing. Do you want anything else, Amanda? Sort of like gloves, or is that all? You know, because if you're doing that, do you want?
Gloves and bags.
I think some gloves would be a
Gloves
good
and bags.
idea, yeah.
So we're trying to get how many little pickers do you want? One or two?
A couple I think.
Yeah.
I tried to do use an electric fencing stake, which David thought would work, but I got stuck on a McDonald's cup because it wouldn't go through. I managed to pick up quite a few things.
I hope you sent them always cut back to them.
Oh, honest to God, I was there for ages.
Where are they going to be kept?
I would have thought, should we keep them in the parish council store?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
So when you do your
Rota.
rota, you go and get your litter picker.
Yeah.
yes, and I won't be saying what it is on camera, but we have there is a key to the storeroom which is kept in a key safe which is on the new building,
Should be the same as the
and
last one.
it is the same number as the last one.
Never forget
Yeah,
that.
we do.
Don't forget that.
So,
We've never been allowed to.
but for,
That's right.
for any other members who don't know what the number was, we will tell you when we're off camera and not broadcasting to the entire nation what our security code number is.
I won't email it either.
No.
Otherwise, they might go in there and get our litter picker and collect it.
No, tell her, I
It will be on Monday.
If there's no other matters for consideration, we'll come to matters of report.
No.
Nope.
No.
Charlie?
No.
Put next meeting, put the no footpath on the agenda, please.
And also just saying, we've got the grant applications piece in the Brent Knoll News for local groups to apply for local grants. We do have a budget for that locally. We've had two or three applicants actually, so hopefully by the end of January we shall probably have a couple more to choose from. We don't have to go with all of them, we don't have to use the whole budget resource, but it's something we do every year. So hopefully, we'll get that sorted in January.
Excellent. Nothing to report from me, anything from you?
No.
In which case, thank you all very much for your attendance. We'll close the meeting and wish you all a happy and healthy Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.